With you guys. Hi, welcome to episode number 8 of the real story behind her business. And welcome, my friend Cynthia. This show is going to be yours today. And I want to make sure that you guys understand that this is a baby show of mine that started just a few weeks ago. But huge, amazing women are attending it every Saturday. And I got so inspired just before that show today. I was grocery shopping and I saw those two women by the cashier. And I'm like, my show is about women like that. And so I'm so proud to have you here. Cynthia, I've been, following you for years now. We've been in the trenches together to gather amazing women to your, you'll explain what it is. I don't want to unveil anything. I want to tell you, ladies, that if you're watching this show, it's all about sharing your story in a way that you can monetize your message. So many times, when you want to sell your program, your services, your events, you need to have your story sauce ready. And it's hard to share a story, right? How much of my story should I share? Do I have to share a story? You don't have to. But when you do, you'll see that things get easier because people connect, right? Why should I buy your stuff? If you're selling kind of the same thing as my neighbor, the story usually makes a difference because this is how much, deep you can go in people's heart by positioning your message in a way that is all about social media love, right? So before we dive into this, I want to show you this thing that I created recently for all of you. If you are serious about sharing your message on social media, you're probably going to have to use social media advertising, whether it's on Facebook or anything. And right now, Facebook is changing all the rules, but it doesn't matter because no matter what type of ads you're going to be running, you need the 3 steps to get customers without spending too much money. And in that free bonus or lead magnet, some people call this gift, whatever. I created that. It's 23 pages, I think. I want you to grab it. The link is around this video or in my bio if you're on Instagram, and make sure that you go step by step because too many women entrepreneurs give up with ads because it doesn't work at first. But please go through this first and then come back and visit me if you need more help. But I want you to start by the beginning. So we're not going to wait longer now. Cynthia, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join me.
Hey, I am thrilled to be here, Ange, and I enjoy every time we have a chance to do something like this. I enjoy it immensely. And I will just quickly tell your viewers that Angelique is the person who is responsible for me doing anything at all on social media because I was, and this may surprise you, but I was one of those people who thought maybe I was a little too old to learn all the tricks. And so I really was resistive, and yet I knew I had to do more in social media. So I always say that Angelique is the one who put the love in social media for me. So there you go. So I cannot praise this woman enough. She's been great, and she's always accessible and always available. And there's never a stupid question, right? It's just a question, and she answers it. So, Ange, there's your commercial from me, okay? The testimonial.
I love it.
Yeah. The love in social media.
Well, you have love too. You're going to tell your story, but if I have to describe you in 2 words to people, like Cynthia, all over Canada, can gather hundreds of women in one room and put fire in them. So this is the kind of woman we're having today. So Cynthia, let's dive in. Before we go to your story, can you tell us right now, what is your business about and who do you help?
Right. So I have a couple of layers in my business, and I have been in business for 40 plus years. I live in London, Ontario, Canada. And so this is home, and I've done my business here for many, many years, as I said. So currently today, I have had many, many years of success running my own consulting firm. It's called High Altitude Thinking, and I'm a business developer. So I am brought in by a company to help them grow their business, perhaps do a recovery on something that's not going so well, launch something new. I'm often just brought in as kind of a hired gun to just help on some project that within a company they have that they need to do, and they really don't have the resources inside to do it. So anyway, my no day is the same. It's very, very different. And so that's what I've been doing. That's sort of my core business. However, I also am the founder of a women's conference, which Angelique is referencing. It's called The Power of the Purse. And for 13 years, we were putting on multiple conferences a year. They were really motivational celebrations of women. We'd gather women in the room for the day, and they had such a great following. So we've done 24 of those conferences. Planning to do number 25. COVID had other ideas. However, we hope before the end of 2021, we can get to our 25th conference if possible. So there's that. However, I have launched something new this year, and it is called Impact with Cynthia O. And that's what I'm really putting a lot of my effort into right now. And what I'm doing is recreating all the aspects of Power of the Purse Women's Conference that everybody loved and looked forward to, and it's the reason they wanted to come year after year. So we're trying to recreate all those elements. So a motivational, impactful woman is interviewed by me in a conversation. We always had a marketplace where women could promote their business and their services. So we're going to profile them each episode. Every conference we supported a charity, a nonprofit group. So we're still bringing them to the table. So profiling and lending a voice to a nonprofit organization on the show. And there's going to be other things. We're going to create some rooms where the women can actually get back to meeting each other, because I think women are missing that because of COVID. And we're not out in person, right? Attending the events that we always attended and seeing each other. So we're looking at ways that we can recreate that entire community. So, and that's what I'm doing right now. I feel that that's my primary role is to kind of harness what COVID has forced on us, and let's make a difference and start putting women back together again.
Oh, yeah. And so, and I want to launch a big call to all of you if you're watching now live with us or the replay. You know, when you launch a new YouTube channel, the first, steep, hike you have to do is to reach 100 followers, so that you can actually have some features that YouTube gives you only when you get to 100 followers. So I want you to go to this YouTube channel. It's called Impact with Cynthia O. It's in the description above and below. And go and give her a subscription and leave even comments. It's even better. Let's support Cynthia so that she can ramp up her game on YouTube and make her dream happen again. Talking about dream. Yes. What in your life, Cynthia, and I want you to bring us to a moment, a time, something happened. What in your life, had to cause you to look for building something else? You could have stayed with your business that is the one from the start. What happened that you said, I need more?
I turned 50. It's very, very simple. So listen, in 2007, I turned 50. And for me, it was... I really felt, every decade, I'll be very honest with you, folks, every decade, from my 20s to my 30s, 40s, I seem to have a pivotal change had happened in my world, that it was either a loss or something, I had a divorce, or losing my dad was one. So every decade, I found that I was motivated to make a change. And so I was turning 50. And I really felt at that point that I was at a point that if I was going to make a bigger impact, I knew I was making an impact. I certainly lived to serve and take care of and look after and do things to make a better community. But I thought, if I'm going to make the impact I want to make, 50 is now or never. It's like, if not now, when? So I decided that one of the things I'd been feeling was that there wasn't a gathering of women the way I wanted to gather women. So I had attended some women's conferences. And of course, back in 2007, there weren't as many as there are today, women's conferences. So anyway, I'd attended them. I'd come up with ideas as I drove away from them going, well, I wish they had done this. I wish they had done that. So I decided, you know what, O'Neill, you're all that in a bag of chips. Why don't you just put your money down and do your own? So anyway, the next day, I literally went to a convention center and booked some rooms. I didn't even have any concept of what I wanted to do. I just knew I needed to book some space, and that would force me to write my check for the deposit, and that would force me to do it. So anyway, that's how the conference was born. So it was literally me wanting to make a bigger impact than I had been making. And I thought if I was going to do it, I had to do it now. So that's why I created the conference.
Oh, how did it felt? Do you remember when you went in with
Yeah.
a check?
Yeah, well, scary as hell, let's be honest. I mean, it was like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But, so trepidation in some respect, but it felt good because I could see it. I'm a very visual thinker, and I could see the conference. I could see that room. I had an idea of what the room was going to look like. I could see what the marketing pieces were going to look like. I knew that it was about reaching out and getting women who we didn't always have access to. So finding women who weren't the usual women that spoke on the stage in our community, and bringing people kind of in from a different area. So, and then I reached out to a wonderful woman who was transitioning in her career as well, Susan, and she had some time and connections. So we brainstormed, and she picked up the phone and called people. I picked up the phone and called people, and that's how year one started. And I really only thought I was going to do 1 year. It was just something that I wanted to do, and I guess just make this impact. But 24 conferences later, apparently I was a little wrong. It wasn't just a one-off thing. It became, and again, I continued my consulting business. That's what paid the bills. The Power of the Purse was always a social enterprise. Any money that was left over at the end of a conference went back into the conference, and it also helped out in the community do some projects. But so, I always had to keep the other going. But this thing, for me, the experience that the women had, and hearing from them afterwards, and receiving their emails, and listening to them say things like, I didn't even want to go yesterday, but I forced myself to get up and get there. And oh my word, I'm so glad I was there because it's changed my world. So, you get those messages, and women are speaking from their heart, and it is motivating. And so I took as much and continued to take as much from those things as I gave, let me tell you, because they would motivate me year after year. And it's a good feeling to know that women are really tangibly coming away with something that's changing their lives. So.
I actually remember, one of your conferences, I was there, and I was working for you, but with a camera person. It was a guy, and I don't know if you remember. It was his name was John. And at the end of the conference, he said, oh my God, he was himself, although it was just woman being woman.
Yep.
It was like, I can feel the woman energy in me.
Yeah, right?
It was just like,
yeah. You're right, Ange. And I remember that. I remember that conference because he was sitting off the side, and you're right. He felt exactly that, right? He felt the energy, because the energy in the room is pretty incredible when we put those women together. And I mean, listen, we would laugh, we cried, we danced, we went through all kinds of emotions, right, in that day, because it was a really good, safe space, and the day was reserved for us. And we talked about empowering women, right? The analogy, power of the purse, means that as women, we carry a purse. No matter where we are in the world, we carry some kind of a vessel to put our stuff in, and we carry our stuff, which is our power. And we carry healing bandages. We carry food, right? It's usually, I always laugh and say it's some crumbly thing in the bottom of the bag, but we carry some food. We carry photos. We carry keys to our safety. We carry it all in our purse. And so that day that we're together, we talk about our empowerment. And we say, listen, as women, we have a lot of power. We make and influence 80% of all buying decisions today. We influence that, and we earn money, and we make this money, and we spend that money. And so we need to celebrate that. And we have to not undervalue all that we bring to the table, because we, as women, tend to undervalue it ourselves. And we certainly know in the hierarchy we have today that we're not equitable in what we're paid and how we're valued. So we've got a big job still to do, but putting the women together for one day to celebrate that, it's a boost. And I think women walked away and they continued to think about that until the next time. So it was, it's an energy, isn't it? It's an energy in the day.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, January 2021, what is the state of women entrepreneur according to you and your vibes right now? Mm-hmm. What do you feel?
Yeah. So I feel that women are at this point now, tired, as we all are, of what this pandemic is doing to change, and looking at, is this our new normal that we're actually going to be dealing with? And I think that we're missing, and we're feeling the loss of that connection. So a lot of us have stayed connected. We're doing our Zoom calls. We're trying to keep up with our social media, right? Keep the love going, but we're missing that face-to-face time. And if we all think about what our calendars look like in a typical year, we would be out at events. We would be off at, even if it was the arts and crafts shows or the charity event for the evening or women's conference. But we were face to face. We were together. We had that eye contact. We had that physical nearness, and we're missing that. That isn't there, and we have to recreate it. We have to find different ways to recreate it. So I think that that's one of the biggest pieces for the woman entrepreneur today, especially, is that because we're nurturers, because we like and need that connection, we're missing it. And it's hard to find a replacement for it right now.
Yeah. So tell me, let's go back to Cynthia, the little girl.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
What in that little girl could, now that you go back and look back, right? What in that little girl could have told you ahead that your main mission would be to empower women, like not like one or two or three, like hundreds at a time?
Well, I think that as the little girl, I had a confidence about me that allowed me to do some things at a very young age. So, for example, there was a thing called Regal Catalog in Canada, and it was a catalog that sold cards, Christmas cards and wrapping paper and trinkets and that. It was called Regal. And so you would have an account, and then you would have the catalogs, and you would pass them out to other women, and they would order their stuff. And anyway, I was 11 years old, and I told my mom that I wanted to be a Regal catalog representative. I wanted to sell Regal stuff. So a bit younger than most people did, but that's what I wanted to do. So I filled it out on the back of a magazine, and I got my account, and I got my little sample stuff, and I would go door to door in our small town we lived in. And I had no compunction that wasn't an okay thing to do. I didn't worry about it. I just went, knocked on the door, and said, hi. I was Cindy back then, not Cynthia. I'm Cindy, and I'm selling Regal, and here's the catalog. Would you like to look at it? I'll come back in a week and pick up your order. And so I started, and I actually had a very lucrative business running. And then I would go and deliver things literally with a wagon, my little wagon behind me with everybody's orders all done together. And then I decided I would have an open house. So I told my mom, I want to have an open house and put all this product in the living room and invitations out and invite women to come to my house for this product sale. So again, like, those were things that were in my head that I wanted to do. And I didn't realize that at 11 years old, maybe you shouldn't, or wasn't what a typical 11-year-old was doing. But it was always this need I felt I had to connect women together. And I wanted to, like I said, bring them all into my living room, my mom's living room, for an open house. And so from there, it just kind of continued. I found myself, I got a little assignment writing a column in a little local newspaper, where you told what people did socially. Betty and Bob joined Fred and Alice for dinner. A good time was had by all. You wrote these little columns. But I did that. I became, at 13, I think, or 14, I was the columnist for our area. And, and then it just continued. And I went into sales. My father had a produce business. And so I drove a truck when I was 16, and I went to restaurants, and I had to knock on the door and speak to the restaurant owner. They were usually men, and I would go in and say, I have eggs and potatoes and all this stuff, and come out to the truck and make a deal and do that. So, my dad had no idea. Like, his view was, male or female, you just do the job. There's no difference, right? His daughters could do as much as his sons. So anyway, that was, I think, that had a lot to do with my I guess my desire to, and my lack of any kind of fear at reaching out to people and making the deals. So that has followed me all through my life. And it feels good. I like it. I always have liked doing it. So I think that really does have something to do with sort of how I ended up wanting to make this impact.
Why do you think that most people are scared to talk to other people, especially to sell, right? So why some are not scared? Like, I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah, well, I do know that my dad, the late Paddy O'Neill, my Irish father, he had said to me at one point, the worst they can say is no. And that has stuck with me. And I use that like a mantra. The worst they can say is no. And isn't that true? You reach out to someone, you pitch an idea, you ask them if they want to join you to something, you want them to buy into something. What's the worst they can say is no. So if that's the worst, then really the rest of it is a conversation. So that's been my approach and my attitude. And I think that really that's what's allowed me to kind of survive. I've been in a lot of sales capacities. I've had executive positions. I've run my own business, but no matter what, and no matter what you're doing, you're always selling, right? You're always selling something. Either it's yourself and your passion and your idea, or it's an actual product, but the worst they can say is no.
I love this. I love this. And you know what you just did? You explained exactly what social media advertising is about.
Mm-hmm.
You go to strangers.
Yep.
You say, hey, I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Do you want it? Nope. Okay. So you put them back. They don't want it, but you're going to keep giving them good stuff no matter what. Then you're going to revisit. Okay. Can I help you now? Maybe. Do you want it? Not yet. Okay. Nurture. You want it? Oh, yeah. It works. I want it. I want to buy from you.
Yep, absolutely.
That's exactly the same damn thing you were doing at 11 or
at 11
14.
or 14 or 16 when I was driving the truck and selling potatoes. Yeah, it was. So, and you know, the other piece too, as you just described that, I think too, it's about understanding and being passionate about your product, right? I mean, I know you're going to wonder, how can you get passionate about eggs and potatoes? But I was passionate at that point of making my dad proud, right? I mean, I lived through the fear of disappointing my father, and this was his passion, this business. It was a part-time business. He was a transport driver, and this was his passionate side hustle. We had this farm, and we did these roadside stands, and we had this business. So for me, and I bought into my dad's dream. This is what he wanted, and I felt a responsibility to be part of it. So I too bought into it. So I was passionate about eggs and potatoes. So I think over the years, you know, whether it's real estate or life insurance or selling someone into a role, because I worked for Drake Personnel, that no matter what you were selling, if you understand it and you are passionate about it, it's so much easier, right? And so anyone who's watching this and has their own product or service that they're selling, you are miles ahead of anyone else who's, you know, maybe working for a company and they're not really that bought into and what the product is. But when it's your own idea, it's your own product, it's your own thing, you created, or your own concept, you're so much further ahead, because of course you're passionate, right? You buy in, you believe. So other people are going to believe that too. They may say no, but they're going to believe it when you're talking to them anyway, because you believe it. Yeah.
I love this. You said that you bought into your dad's dream, and that what became then your drive.
Yeah.
And then now you bought into our dreams as women when you gather us in your conferences, and then you're like motivating us, giving us some tools, connection with other women support, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of, I see a pattern here.
Imagine that. So do I, and so do I. And you know, it's like there are women, you know, when I think women are oftentimes they're so close to breaking through and getting that next step and going after what they want. They're so close.
You're fine. Yeah, no, you're good. It's just the connection.
And so it just takes a few barriers to be who I should join. We had your name badge, your table was assigned, it was like a wedding, right? You knew where you were going to sit. But that was important to me. That was an element in that conference that I knew I wanted to do, and I've done them for all 24 conferences, because that's one barrier in the morning to a woman walking in that door, and she's by herself, and the last thing she needs to do is wonder who she's going to sit with and where she's going to sit. So if we give her an assigned seat, now she's there. And I used to spend time deciding who should sit together. I mean, some people filled their table themselves, yes, but the ones who didn't, and it would matter to me who we put together. But anyway, then you had that table, and you got to meet those women throughout the day. Then you got to meet the enterprising women in the marketplace throughout the day. And then you got to meet the charity women throughout the day. So all of those conversations that you had, somewhere in there, it just built your confidence. It just built your enthusiasm and your excitement. And I think that's why so many women felt that a day together, like I said, to celebrate us mattered to them. And it gave you permission, right, to hopefully put everything out there away and just spend the day in that room concentrating on that. So, I mean, and Angie, I mean, I used to say, if 1 or 2 women out of the 300 come away and make a paradigm shift in their lives, then I felt fulfilled that what I wanted to do with that day actually was a success. Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Right? And you never know. And I think, so we have to keep the faith, folks. We have to keep the faith that we are making a difference. So that's why you show up on Saturday. I don't know which way to look now. I guess I want to look at I want to look at the camera and the other one. So, but Ange, you show up on Saturday and you do this, and you reach out and you connect with women like me, and your other guests have been phenomenal. And so because you have the belief that somebody's going to see this and it's going to matter to them. They're going to take away a nugget that matters. And so that's why you do it. And that's why I'm doing Impact with Cynthia O. It's because it's the chance again to have an audience of women gathering. I mean, hey, listen, you're watching the show in your pajamas at 10 o'clock at night or first thing in the morning. That's kind of a beauty of it, right? You don't have to get, in a way, you don't have to get ready to go out, but you're also missing that opportunity too. But anyway, so for me though, it's about that we are gathering together and we believe that we're going to make a difference. And we're giving women the opportunity to learn. And that's what you do so well, right? You're always reaching out and you're always giving back, and you do it all the time. And, never mind whether it is a smart business idea to, give away things to generate mailing lists and audience. You give from your heart, though. You are so passionate about what you have in your Media Love books and your ideas. And I know that because I've been a victim of your passion. I have, right? So, but I'm just saying, I love that you do that. And I guess, Ange, that's me too. I really feel that the more I can give back, the happier I am. And, and I'm blessed that I'm in a position financially where I can do that. And so that's why, let's just keep rolling it out. So Impact with Cynthia O.
Yeah, so check it out. Yeah, let's join the group. And Ellen says, amazing, congrats, impact and giving back. Yeah.
Thank you.
So true.
Thank
you. Yeah. So, okay. So now I always ask this question. So I know you were a very go-getter and action taker. You take action all the time. You have an idea, you take action, then it happens. Now, what is the one thing that you thought was true at the time that, with the experience, you realized that it was not true?
Oh, you mean that I made a mistake on, or that I realized I have to reach out?
Or I don't know, something that, sometimes we think that, I'm going to give you an example. For me, I thought that women entrepreneur who generate 6, 7, 8 figure every year would have it figured out and they have no doubt and they just know exactly what to do. Well, no, this is not true. They have the mindset that it takes to go there, but they also question themselves. They also have their lows and ups, right? So that's one thing for me. What about you?
So, you're right. I think that is something that a lot of us always assume that successful woman kind of up on the pinnacle over there got it all figured out. But you're right, she doesn't, and she she sweats like the rest of us, and she worries about the same things that we all do, right? So, and that's very astute that you have that, you figured that. So, so for me, it was, I mean, I guess more of a tactical piece, but I was at a point where at one point I thought that I was ready to expand the conference. I thought that women wanted outside of my city, because I'd only held them in my city, and I thought it was time to expand and go to another city, and it would be a no-brainer, right? I'd had like 4 of these or 5 of them now. So I went to another city, and it was a brainer. I failed. And so I didn't hit, I had these markers that I had to have so many tickets sold by a certain date in order to know that I had a conference. And I had sponsors lined up, the speakers were lined up, the marketplace was full, and I wasn't selling tickets. And I could not get my ticket sales to that magic number that I knew I had to have in order to guarantee a conference, right? So I actually had to make a decision to cancel the conference. And it was one of the worst things I had been through. I spent an entire night up walking the floor. I will tell you, I shed tears. I felt like such a failure. I couldn't believe that that morning I was going to get on the phone and phone the sponsors and the vendors and the speakers. I would, of course, give back all their money. I would, make everybody whole again. Like, it was fine. I knew that I would be doing that. But just that admission that my big idea, my big dream was not everybody else's big dream, and it wasn't the reality. So, and I did just that. But, Ange, one of the things that I learned that day, and I will never forget sitting in my office making all those phone calls, was how kind people were when I phoned them. And I honestly said, thank you for buying in and believing in this conference, because they had never seen it before, right? It was a new city, new town. So thank you for believing in me and this conference. However, I have not hit my markers, and I need to do this in order to guarantee that you're going to get your value from the conference. So I have to postpone it, change it, move it up. So the kindness, the encouragement, the amount of people who said, oh, well, thank you for letting us know, and we appreciate what you're doing, and you bring it back, you call me, we're back in. I even had vendors say, I don't want my money back yet, just hold it till you come up with a new date. I said, well, I'm not sure, but I came away at the end of that day with such an appreciation for women, and it's women supporting women. We don't make any apology for that, right? So it was all women I was dealing with, but they were so understanding and supportive and kind about it that I salvaged myself, because I really felt like a failure at that point. And not to sound over dramatic, but listen, this was my passion, right? My passion was the conferences, and I was expanding. So I had the vision, and I thought, so anyway, I will tell you though, because as you know, I expanded not only to other cities, but to other provinces too. But I learned that what I needed was some champions in that city. I call them ambassadors or badassadors. And I needed women who were connected in the city I was going to, who would be able to talk about and create excitement and create a buzz about the conference and talk to her contacts and her connections and build that, because that's how we really built the audience. And so once I figured that out and got those ambassadors, and they're amazing women, and I love them all dearly, and they're still in my tight circle, then I was able to be successful and move it to other cities, as you and I connected, right, when we were in New Brunswick. So anyway, that was that's one of my, I guess that was when I realized something that wasn't true, or I thought was true, wasn't true.
Yeah.
It's not as quiet though as yours. I like
no,
yours better.
it is. It's like when you're in a situation that you feel that you completely failed.
Yeah.
But then this is when you are so resourceful and you found a solution. You said, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with champions. And you found your champions, and now you have conference everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was, those women were really made the difference for sure with it. Yeah.
So, part of creating that solutions when you have big hurdles like that, what type of mindset does it take? Like, what did that help you then next time you went facing a wall? Did you have that muscle already? Like, how did you react, or how did it help with your mindset?
Something, that's a good question, because I think we all probably struggle with that. So what do you learn from that moment where you are disappointed and you have failed, or you've had to change something around? What do you learn, right? It's that resiliency. So I think what we learn is the next time we take what we learned the first time and we know it's not going to be quite so bad as we thought, right? That we can, if we have the right mindset and we don't close in on ourselves, and it's tough to do, but I think that helps. I'm always a plan B person. I have always my life had a plan B in my head. So if plan A doesn't work, plan B is going to work. And so I think that when you do actually face something like I described, where you have to take something and totally rewrite it, having the plan B though makes some sense because it gives you a bit more confidence, right? So for me, it's like the plan B, well, then you sit down and you write it out, like, because I write everything out. So you write it out, you write your bullets. What's the good? What's the bad? What's the ugly? It's like a SWOT analysis, right? What are my weaknesses here? What are the threats to my idea? So I think that that's the learning that you take from the first failure and you put it into the next is, what are the little steps? What are the tactics I can actually do to ensure I'm not going to fail the next time? And you know what? There's no guarantee you're not going to fail, but each failure hopefully gets a little better, a little easier, or you recover faster, or you learn more from it. We always read where successful people will say, if I hadn't tried and I hadn't failed, then I wouldn't be a success. My failures are what brought me my success. So yeah, sometimes that's tough to read. You go, yeah, I'm sure it is, give me a break. Your failures bring you success, but they do. And you have to grab something out of it. And so that for me has always been something that has held me in good stead, right? That whatever you're doing that doesn't go exactly right. And we all have these things. So what do I pull from it? And it'll just make it easier the next time around. I think you really have to believe that. You do. You have to, we do have to motivate ourselves as much as we can, as well as look for external motivations, right? And then yeah. And then I was going to say, and then you know what? Beyond that, get a group of girlfriends and have a damn good cry, okay? And then maybe have some wine or coffee or whatever you want. But I am such a believer in the power of girlfriends and the power of friendship. And I think as women, sometimes friendships take work because they don't all just always last. I mean, if we all think back, do we have friends that we had in elementary school and high school and all through life? I think sometimes we have different friends for different decades in our lives, and other times we have lifelong friends that we still have, but they're our girlfriends, right? And they are a great source of commiseration, and they'll bounce you back, they'll tell you the truth, but they'll also love you anyway. And so I think that might be everybody's plan B. Get your girlfriends together, right? And cry about it.
Go to your conference and get more friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
that's right, yeah.
This is, I find, very helpful to swim with people who go through the same struggles, and then when you hit those walls, you know that they know, right? You don't even have to explain. You know what it feels like.
That's right. And it's like the women that get on our stage and talk. I mean, as a rule, we find women who are not necessarily the professional speakers that's all they do is the speaker circuit. These are women that are really in the trenches. They're doing it. They've done it, and they're willing to get up on stage. And well, many of them certainly talk at a lot of conferences. But what I'm saying is that isn't. They're there because they're talking about the business that they ran or the position that they held. But they're so willing to share their stories, right, authentically and open, honestly. And so I applaud those women because they're willing to get up and share. And the sharing is tough, right? The sharing of all the trials and tribulations and that, and then getting to the motivation piece. But so I have so much love for those women because, when you think of how many speakers I've had on the stage over 24 conferences, it's a lot. And they're all willing. And because you've been to them, they give from their hearts, right, when they get up on that stage. Yeah. And so, again, it's women willing to help other women. It's women willing to reach out. And so if you're faced with something in your business and it's just not working well, look around for women, right? Because we are willing and we will open up and help with that.
Okay. So again, join the YouTube channel if you don't want to miss the next event that Cynthia is going to organize to connect more women entrepreneurs together. It's called Impact with Cynthia O on YouTube. And then that's the best way to keep track of what you're doing. And then you're going to be probably promoting your next event on your videos, right?
Yeah, we will. And actually, yeah. So, and we have a new initiative that I've been working with a team of women, Andrea, I didn't even mention, and I'll just briefly, it's called Lead Her Alliance, and it's a mentoring program for young women and women that have had success in their careers, and they're willing to give back and mentor young women. So we're going to be launching that in March, and it's an actual 10-month program for mentees. We match them together. So that I'll promote on Impact with Cynthia O as well at some point, right? But
okay. So you're doing so many things to help and empower women. So what's the first big payoff for you when you crack the code around, this is what I want to do, I'm turning 50. What's the big payoff for you financially, personally, emotionally? How would you describe that?
I think the payoff for me, that first one, was just purely the success of that day, right? If we're looking at the action as being starting this conference and actually doing the first one, the payoff for me was how I felt at the end of that day, walking out of that conference center, right? Your feet kill you. You've changed out of your heels into your flats. You're schlepping all the signage and all the commodity. I mean, it's not glamorous at the end of a conference, right? When you bring everything down on the trolley to the car, but it was such a good feeling. And then coming home and being able to realize, but I think the big piece for that was my daughter. So I have my daughter, Natalie, and she is currently 33 and a new mommy. I'm now a Gigi, a grandmother for the first time. So, but having my daughter and she was very involved and always aware, and my son, Dean, as well. And you met Dean because he did some videography for me, but having my kids seeing that their mom had a dream and she had an idea, and she actually made it happen. That, to me, was the biggest piece of that moment for me, right? And I've carried that feeling of success every year since then, and that success is through their eyes, right?
I love it. Yeah,
I get emotional right now sharing that, but it's knowing that I gave those two kids an example, a real life example that they could look at. Talk while I pull myself together, Edge.
Yeah. Okay. I totally agree. I just did a TikTok video about this week because it's called "The Things That I Wish More Women Entrepreneur, more people would know about women entrepreneur." That is, beyond the building the business, beyond bringing the cash to build the business. It's also the impact on our very close circle. So we change as entrepreneur, but I see it in my son. I see it in my husband. Everybody becomes more entrepreneurial, resourceful, dreamer, and actor, acting on dreams. And I totally agree. And for me, that's the thing. When I see my son say a thing, then I'm like, oh, look at you. It's coming at you. Right? Yep. And it's just because, the other day he told me, I don't know if I don't want to be an entrepreneur because it's a lot of work. I'm like, yep,
you got that right. Huh?
But for me, it was like he's seeing, he's noticing, and it's just fun. It's just awesome to be able to have an idea, a dream, and go for it. Yeah. And I wish I had realized that at 11, like you.
Well, I don't think I really knew at 11. I just knew I was just doing this stuff that I wanted to do, right? But yeah, I mean, obviously, I've had a long life of doing this, and now I'm at another point in my life, right? So
you're a Gigi.
Yeah, I'm a Gigi, and I'm turning 64 in another month. And for me, I don't know what a retirement age is for me. Who knows? As entrepreneurs, do we ever really retire, or do we just
99?
Change? Right? Yeah. So for me, it's again, it'll be moving into a different phase, and I want to spend more time with Finn, my grandson, and I want to continue to make this impact. And for me, my impact now is global, right? That's my goal, is a global impact. So with the YouTube channel and the show, of course, there are no barriers, right? That geography doesn't count. We're anywhere in the world, right? And then with this Leadership Alliance mentoring program that we'll talk another time about, again, open to young women all over the world. So for me, I can sense that global impact happening. And so that's my next motivation. That's my next, keep me happy and happy feet and wanting to get up in the morning and do my thing. But it's balanced with this need to want to also be Gigi and spend time with Finn and do the things that I have imagined grandparents do with their grandchildren, but I've never really had an interest in it myself because, I mean, you don't know until you have a grandchild. For me, anyway, you don't know until you actually have that little soul in your hands what a change it's going to make in your world. And this kid, he has got me. Okay, he
got me too. There is a photo. I look at it.
I know. I do this thing for your listeners and your watchers. I do a thing called Thin Photo Friday. And I made a decision. He was born September 8th. And I made the decision that every Friday on my Facebook page, I would post a photo of Finn. And because I think that he brings joy to me. And I thought, we all need to see, and who can resist a baby? So I'm thinking, 5-10 people might like it. Well, oh my word. So I've not missed every Friday since he was born September. Every Friday, there's been a Finn Photo Friday. And like hundreds of people are following on my Facebook, but people are loving it, right? Because the same thing, he brings joy. And so I think we all need to find those things. Remember when COVID first started? I don't know, Angie, if you were part of it, but there was a group of people and they posted photos of what you saw out your window. And so we were seeing people's homes and out their window from all over the world. And that had such healing impact, I thought, because we knew we were all in it together. Because the first time in my life, everybody around the world was thinking the same thing at the same time. So anyway, that was kind of a whirl back. But Thin Photo Friday. And Ange, yes, you're someone who does look at my little baby.
Okay, let's wrap up with our blitz of questions. So I'm going to ask question. You don't think too much, you just answer. Okay?
Okay. I hope I'm right. Yes.
What is the latest book that you loved reading?
The latest book that I just read is...
Or you love, like one that just comes to mind that you love, you recommend to read.
Yeah, is Trevor Noah, his biography, Born a Crime. I intelligent young man and his life in South Africa and being born to a white father, black mother during apartheid. Anyway, brilliant book.
What series on Netflix or Amazon or wherever are you hooked on?
Oh my word, I'm hooked on quite a few of them, right? But let me just think quickly because there's so many that I've been watching. But well, I would tell you from a comedy one. Of course, now I'm going to lose. Oh my God, he's the coach that goes to England to coach. Isn't that embarrassing? I've now forgotten.
Okay.
Ask me another one and I'll come back. But
okay.
Ted Lasso. Sorry, Ted Lasso. Bizarre because I'm not a sports person in the least, and it's all about football, soccer, European. But anyway, Ted Lasso. Funny show.
Okay, awesome. What's your favorite dish or meal?
Thai food, a pad thai, a chicken pad thai, favorite.
Okay, cool.
And after that, a steak, a very rare steak would be my second.
Wow.
So have a second? Yeah.
Yeah. Guru that you follow online, like you would not miss anything from her or from him.
Yeah, Brene Brown, I think would certainly be the first one to come to mind.
Awesome. Anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to share?
Well, let me see. Ask me something that I've done in my life that I imagine nobody knows about me.
Yeah, tell us a little secret here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked. That I have actually, crazy, that I have actually been in the OR and observed open heart surgery from back beside the anesthetist, looking over the drape as the heart was cracked, the chest was cracked open and the heart went, open heart surgery.
Ooh. Is that
right?
Is that transformative to see a real heart?
Oh my word, yes. Yes. And to know that that procedure that was happening will have saved that man's life or prolonged his life because of the surgery that he had. So yeah, I realize people who work in the OR and the anesthetists and the docs, the heart surgeons and all those people, that's their work day, right? So that's them. But for someone who is not connected in that way at all, to have the opportunity to be invited in to watch that, it was mind-blowing.
Wow. Okay. I didn't expect this one.
I know.
Awesome. Thank you, Cynthia. So you guys, if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments, what is the thing that inspires you? Like, you drop so many bombs on us, you know, take action. You have a dream. What are you going to do tomorrow morning to take action? How to muscle up your mindset when you dreadly fail or feel that you're failing. And then, you know, if you have a dream, just go for it. And even if it's impacting just one person, go for that one person, right? Oh, thank you so much. So everybody's gonna go subscribe to Impact with Cynthia O. Oh, I have one more question.
Yeah.
You said your name was Cindy before. Is that okay to ask you?
So, well, yeah. So when I was born, my dad loved a song that was called Cindy, some song, Cindy or something. So anyway, he wanted to name me Cindy. And my mom said, well, the full name is Cynthia for Cindy. And my dad wasn't a big fan of that, Cynthia, but my sister, a year and a half older than me, was Catherine. So they called her Kathy, but she was Catherine. So I was Cynthia, but they called me Cindy. And worse, I was named after, my middle name was named after my grandfather, Louis. So I was Cindy Lou. So Cindy Louise. Cynthia Louise became Cindy Lou. And so for the first 5 years of my life, apparently, I was very much a Cindy Lou. And then I went to school and they dropped the Lou. Oh, there is a God. And so they just called me Cindy. And then when I got through high school and went off to university, I had I was emancipated. I was able to choose on my own. So I went with Cynthia because I always loved the name Cynthia. I was not, and my apologies to any Cindy who is listening. I love you all. Okay. I get you. I was a Cindy too, but I loved Cynthia. And so I registered at university as Cynthia and I became Cynthia. I've been Cynthia for many, many years now.
Oh, I love this.
But shortened though to Cyn, right? Because like even my dad, Cindy, Cyn, like so the same sort of short nickname, Cyn, has held and it's been with me forever. So that's why my email, Cyn@Cynthia O. But anyway, but yeah, so that's a little story about Cindy,
wow.
Cindy Lou, and anyway, my dad's. I think he learned to like Cynthia. He used to use it when he was really angry with me. So I'm sure that's why he loved it, Cynthia.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And then everybody else here, if you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube or on Facebook, let us know what resonates the most with you, and wish you all the best for the next weeks in your life.
Absolutely.
Ciao,
I do too.
ciao.
Thanks, Ange, so
Cynthia.
much. Appreciate you having me on. It's been fun.
I know, it's awesome. Let me put, bye guys.